T minus 1 minute. T minus 50 seconds. T minus 40 seconds. T minus 30 seconds. T minus 20 seconds. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Own it, own it, own it, Kong. I own it. It did.
Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet. Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet.
Hey, hey, hey. Welcome to Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet. And of course, welcome to the SmackDown and AEW Rampage Aftershow. I am back. I am your girl, Stephanie Hardy, host and creator of the Hardy Wrestling Podcast, and host and writer for Women's Wrestling Talk and color commentator for the Belladonna Division Battle Club Pro and Black Girl Magic 2022. And I'm so happy to finally be back on the after show because the past 2 weeks I've kind of been on a struggle bus. Now, the first week I wasn't here, I had food poisoning, and I'm so sorry that I couldn't be here with Dreon Santana, our editor-in-chief. And then the second week, last week, the power went out because the South went through a whole bunch of storms. So I wasn't able to be here. But either way, I am so happy to be here tonight in the absence of Dreon Santana, who isn't here because she had work obligations. But we do send her the very best energy and vibes as she continues to do what she does best in the broadcasting world. Maybe she'll come in late, maybe she won't come in at all, but either way, we're gonna still keep it going. Welcome to the show, and I am just so happy to be doing it and so happy to be talking about this SmackDown and Rampage as we are on the road to WrestleMania. We are 22 days away from WrestleMania in Hollywood / Inglewood. Come on, let's be real. At the SoFi Stadium, and it is shaping up to be a really cool WrestleMania. I'm excited. We're all excited. There's just so much going on. So please, if you are watching with us tonight, go in the comments, light us up, let us know how you felt about this episode of SmackDown and, of course, the other episode of AEW Rampage. You know, everything is just cooking up. There's amazing things going on in wrestling, and we're here to talk about it. But first, of course, we got to start with SmackDown because everything is lit. They emanated from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. But weirdly enough, Kurt Angle did not show up this time. I think either he's from Philadelphia or Pittsburgh, but either way, he did not show up. But either way, it was still an amazing show. Joseph in the comments saying WrestleMania week will be fun Wednesday through Sunday. Oh, you got that right. And they turned up everything on this episode of SmackDown. So just to get started, we started with, of course, a SUV pulling up, and it was holding the Usos, the undisputed tag team champions, rolling up together and not separated like they have been doing over the past couple of weeks due to the rift that happened at the Royal Rumble. Jey Uso, of course, came back after attacking Sami Zayn on Raw this past Monday, and Paul Heyman was there to greet them and meet them, and he gave them a hug as they dapped him up and called him OG or whatnot. But Jey Uso seemed to still be a little bit dark, a little bit somber and sad, a bit not really jovial like his twin. And Paul Heyman was like, look, I'm proud of you. I'm glad you did the right thing. But Jey wasn't hearing it. He said, look, I just want to see our tribal chief. But Paul looked a little bit bothered by that. He looked angered by that, right? So he was just like, okay, fine, whatever, just come backstage or whatever, and we'll just figure it out. So after that point, after Paul Heyman, went away after he could sense that there was something wrong, Kayla Braxton, shout out Big Bama, showed up, who's on my Alabama wrestling shirt. She showed up and asked the Usos, what's going on tonight, what will be addressed in the ring tonight and all of the above. And Jey said that basically everything that needs to be said will be said in the ring with our tribal chief. And he kept it, cute and quiet after that point. And he walked away. But then Jimmy was hyping up everything and just talking about, how the bloodline is back together and how the family is back together and everything's okay. So it seems that there's a mixed bag going on between the two. There seems to be one person thinking that one thing is okay, and the other person is just not really vibing out the way that he normally would. So it's kind of like a different vibe from each person, but either way, you can still sense that something is wrong. Jeffrey, thank you for joining us on YouTube. He's saying, I think Jey is only there for Jimmy. He just might be. He really just might be. And I'm going to get into that a little bit later. Yeah, and hey, thank you for watching from YouTube, and thank you all for watching from whatever platforms you're watching from. But either way, this was really interesting. It was a really nice cold open. And I think it's just a really different vibe that they have with SmackDown, where they'll start with a cold open, then do the theme song, and then start the show properly. So that was really cool. So moving forward after the theme song, we had in-ring action. We had the Fatal 5-Way to determine who's going to be the number one contender for the Intercontinental Championship held by Gunther. Now, of course, this Fatal 5-Way was between LA Knight, Karrion Kross, Drew McIntyre, Sheamus, and Xavier Woods, who was standing in for Kofi Kingston, who sustained an injury to his foot last week. I didn't see how he sustained an injury because, like I said, my power was out, so I was not able to watch SmackDown last week, but he sustained that injury in the match, and we do send up prayers and good vibes for him because it can't be easy going through an injury and watching your friend kind of go it alone in this way, because Xavier is by himself now. He doesn't even have, Big E to sort of, bounce back with. Like, he really is on his own. And a part of me wondered, like, how is he going to perform, to the best of his ability, now that he really is on his own representing the New Day by himself. But he did a phenomenal job in the match. But either way, we're going to get into all the cool stuff that this match had going on. Joseph in the comments saying, I don't think any of us saw Kofi get injured, but it was in that attack to set up this match. Oh, okay. So it was in a backstage attack thing. Okay, well, thank you so much. Yeah, all I know is that I saw a picture of him, laid up somewhere with his foot up. He lost his shoe last week when Sheamus landed on his leg. Okay. And hey to JD, thank you for watching from Twitch. So either way, this match was really good. It was really cool to see Xavier, step up to the challenge, because outside of him being king of the ring, he's never really won like a singles title before. So I was really rooted for him because, of course, he's also my Virgo / birthday twin. So I was definitely rooted for him. But the story really seemed to be between the conflict going on between Drew McIntyre and Sheamus, and Sheamus's anger towards Drew. So I just wanted to share this picture from the beginning of the match because I thought it was really cool. Shout out to the person who took that picture on Twitter. I just really thought that was a really cool shot of Drew McIntyre there with his sword in the ring with the fire. But either way, the match got started, and it seemed like the bigger men sort of decided, believe it was LA Knight and Karrion Kross who decided to gang up on Xavier and just toss him out of the ring. And then everybody basically started fighting as if it was sort of like a tag team match. It was weird. But either way, like I said, one of the biggest central conflicts in this match was the idea that you had Drew and Sheamus fighting with each other, because Sheamus, of course, was really, really close to winning the IC title off of Gunther. If you think back to Clash at the Castle last year, in a phenomenal match that they both had. And so, he really did want to go for Gunther again and have that banger replay of sorts, if you would think of it that way. But Drew decided that he wanted to throw his hat in the ring, knowing that, Sheamus is his best friend, and knowing how much it meant to him, because they kept saying on commentary and reiterating that the IC title is the only title that Sheamus has not won during his tenure in WWE, which absolutely surprised me, because it seemed like Sheamus had won a whole bunch of stuff. But the idea that he did not win, that he had never won the IC title, just blew my mind a bit. I was like, wow, okay, that's interesting. So they kept fussing back and forth, but then Imperium, of course, came out to sort of look and see, what's going on in the landscape of the match and who they need to watch out for, to see who could challenge Gunther at WrestleMania. So they came out and really just watched from the Titantron. They didn't interfere in the match in any way, but it was still pretty cool. So the match kept going, and then as like I said, Xavier and so many other people had strong moments throughout the match. Sheamus, kept giving out his 10 beats of the Baldwin out over and over again. He first gave it to Xavier, then he gave some to Carrion, then he gave some to LA Knight, just like in this picture. But something that kept happening was the fact that LA kept sort of teaming with Karrion Kross for a little while, until of course they had to fight each other. So it was a really interesting match. But in the end, as they all fought, to try to get to a finish, there was one moment where Xavier actually was able to hit his elbow from when he climbed up on the top rope and jumped from it, but they all broke up the count, which made me really upset. But outside of that, that was fine. At one point, Xavier got thrown out of the equation, and Drew hit his Claymore, and Sheamus hit his bro kick, and they both hit a cover, and they both got a double pin. So instead of there being one winner of this fatal 5-way match, there were two winners. And it was just really weird how they had, all the referees sort of out there sort of watching stuff. And it almost gave off the impression that maybe it was an elimination match, but that's not what was happening. So either way, Drew and Sheamus wound up winning the match. So now the both of them qualified to face Gunther for the Intercontinental title at WrestleMania. But of course, here, like it's like in this picture, they didn't like that at all. They were fussing back and forth at each other, and then they even showed them backstage fussing at each other. And the Brawling Brutes, Ridge Holland and Butch, had to break up Sheamus, push Sheamus away from Drew as they were yelling at each other over all of everything that had transpired. It was really crazy. But as they were fussing at each other in the ring, since there were two winners, all of the fans in the arena kept chanting triple threat, triple threat, triple threat. So for all we know, we thought for sure maybe we would get a triple threat at WrestleMania for the Intercontinental title. But later on in the night, Gunther actually confronted Adam Pearce and told him, look, English may not be my first language, but I do know the difference between singular and plural. I don't want two challengers. I want one challenger. So Adam Pearce fixed it and said that Drew and Sheamus will be fighting each other next week to see who is going to ultimately qualify to become the number one contender to the Intercontinental title at WrestleMania. So I'm okay with that, but a lot of everyone online really felt that maybe this was going to be a triple threat. Jeffrey in the comments is saying, I was hoping for a triple threat, you and a lot of other people. Joseph is saying this was fun and it got a lot of time. When something gets 3 segments, it's good, but a small part of me was wondering how this would impact the pace of the show. Yeah, but here's the thing though, like it went by relatively quick. Like it wasn't like a sluggish fatal 5-way at all. Like they really used their time to the best of their ability. It was really good. He's also saying creative team thinks we're stupid. Even the fans in the arena know where this is going. It's bad when the fans in the arena see the ending a mile away. That may be true, but at the same time, if there's going to be a qualifying match next week between these two, it might be more than likely that it might not be a triple threat. It really might just be one person. And if I'm going to predict that if there's anyone who I'm pushing for, it's really Sheamus because like I said, at Clash of the Castle last year, they burned the house down. And I would really prefer if it's just, Sheamus and Gunther as opposed to Sheamus, Gunther and Drew because I know Drew was sort of looking for his moment, after his Clash at the Castle loss as well, but at the same time, this isn't really about him, okay? It's just like, sweetie, you're always trying to gun for a championship or a title of some sorts. Like, why can't you just be okay with everything not being about you? And I'm wondering if Sheamus is ever going to bring that up, in the next few weeks. But either way, I just feel like that's just where it should be. It just should be, Sheamus and Gunther. So, yeah. Um JD is saying, go polish your sword, Drew. Yeah, that's kind of the sentiment that I have, even though I respect him so much. But, it can't always be about Drew all the time at WrestleMania. He's kind of been gunning for all of that ever since 2020. And it's just like, sir, sit down. Give somebody else a chance. But moving forward with the rest of the show, this is what we thought we were getting. But here again, like I said, we have to wait and see if this is where we're going next week. So, moving forward with the rest of the show, we had Paul Heyman and Kayla Braxton, shout out Big Bama, um, having a promo backstage, and Paul Heyman seemed a little bit concerned about what the heck might be going on with the bloodline. And weirdly enough, he decided to bring up Cody Rhodes, because of course Cody will be fighting Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. And while Kayla was trying to talk to him at first, he was so gone in the head that he couldn't even pay attention to the questions that Kayla was asking. So once he did decide that he was going to pay attention, he decided to talk about, Cody Rhodes and how he sort of stuck his nose in bloodline business. Ain't got nothing to do with him when it comes to helping Sami Zayn like he did Monday when he was getting jumped by the Usos. And basically saying that he was going to pay and all of that. And that's really kind of the end of it. But the promo was still really good because anytime Paul Heyman gets up in front of a microphone and tells a story, you can't help but be enthralled. Like, he's that dude. And he's been that dude for a long time. So either way, I was very happy with what he had to say in the promo because he just told the story even more and just sold it even further. So I'm never bored when Paul Heyman's on my television. Never at all. And yes, Jeffrey, we need Kayla and Paul Heyman's storyline. They have great chemistry. Yeah, they do have amazing chemistry, but the thing about them um is the fact that when talking smack was a thing, they had them on there, and then it's like they got rid of talking smack and then replaced it with the SmackDown lowdown. So I don't know. It's just really weird how they kind of do that, but they do have amazing chemistry. Like, you can tell Kayla's sort of like the voice of reason. And then you have Paul Heyman, who's just, always just gone with whoever it is he's wanting to put over at that moment. But it's really good. PC Wells, thank you for watching from Twitch. Nikki is not on the show tonight. She's not on schedule for tonight. Braxton works well with a lot of different personalities. She really does. She really does. She is fantastic at her job. Even though I know a lot of people feel a way about certain things that she might have used to tweet and stuff like that, even though she's not on Twitter anymore. She professionally, she is good at her job, and she was really good at, talking to a lot of different people and, being enthralling in that way. So big ups to Kayla Braxton. She's Big Bama. I will always support her because she's from Alabama like me, and she's a woman of color too. So, big shout outs to her. But Paul Heyman's going through it because he's stressed out between Cody and Sami. So, yeah, there's that. Then next, they said that we were going to get our first Hall of Fame inductee announcement. Now, a lot of people on social media were trying to figure out, like, are they even going to have a Hall of Fame this year, considering they hadn't made any announcements yet? But something interesting that I noticed in my Facebook memories is that I believe last year they did kind of start around this time with their Hall of Fame announcements, but then there have been times where they have started a little bit earlier with their Hall of Fame announcements. So a lot of people were worried, like, are they going to do one? Like, is this even going to happen? It's WrestleMania season. Like, where are the Hall of Fame announcements? So, thankfully, we got our answer tonight. And, baby, the first inductee. Ooh, the first inductee. I was so excited. I yelled. Um, the first inductee is none other than Mr. 619 himself, Rey Mysterio. Who's that jumping out the sky? Rey Mysterio. Here we go. That's him, the king of lucha, the GOAT. Oh my God, Rey Mysterio. I was so happy for him because I have loved Rey Mysterio since 2002. So many of us have loved him since 2002. And even before then, of course, in the WCW days, when he was revolutionizing cruiserweight wrestling along with lucha and all of that. Like, this man is everything, okay? He wrestles classics, he wrestles clinics, he is that dude. And I am so, oh my God, just thrilled that he is the first inductee into the Hall of Fame. Like, it's so funny because just last year they were celebrating, his 20th, I believe, his 20th anniversary of being with WWE or affiliated with the company. And now he's getting inducted into the Hall of Fame. It is just so beautiful to see someone like him get his flowers. And then on top of that, be active and still get his flowers too. Sometimes when people get inducted into the Hall of Fame, sometimes they're not active anymore. They're either retired or sometimes they get their flowers and it's sadly too late. But thankfully, Rey Mysterio can get his flowers and it's right now. Cause a part of me wonder, like, when was he ever gonna be, in the Hall of Fame? When was this gonna happen? Like, maybe a couple of years from now when he stops being active. But now they finna do it right now. And I am so happy. I am so happy for him. I'm so thrilled. And then the package that they showed, you know, showing his entire journey from when he was, when he first got started, on SmackDown in 2002 with all the pillars back then and whatnot, with him wrestling Eddie Guerrero and so many people talking about him and, how he is, as a person, and him, touching his face with the kids in the crowd. Like, it was just heartwarming. I'm just so happy for him. I am so happy for him. And it seems like, a lot of people in the comments are happy, saying I was shocked in a good way. It feels like Rey is only going on as an excuse to have the match with him and Dominic. I don't agree with that, but okay. Why would WWE celebrate? Yeah, we're not gonna do that. Rey is my childhood hero. I know he's a lot of our childhood heroes, right? He's so sweet. I'm just so happy. But Randy's dad was inducted the night before and got involved with Randy's match against Undertaker at WrestleMania 21. He sure did. He did, but I'm just saying, like, active from an in-ring perspective. That's what I meant. But yes, his dad did get inducted that night, and then it happened at 21. Do we think Rey is the headlining act, or will it be somebody else? I don't know. It's hard to say. It's really hard to say right now because a lot of people have been predicting that maybe Batista would get inducted in this class because they did announce him at one point, but then they decided not to. So I don't know. I don't know. But either way, this is a really rousing start to the Hall of Fame announcement. So big ups to Rey Mysterio. Congratulations to you. Booyaka, Viva la Raza, all of the things. Just, I'm so happy. I'm so happy for him. So as he came out to celebrate and sort of give a speech or whatnot, because, he's that dude and he's on SmackDown now. So he was going to come out and say hi to the people and probably say thank you and talk about, how he felt about it and everything. But before he even had a chance to say anything, he gets interrupted by his demon seed of a son, Dominic Mysterio, and the Judgment Day. And I was so irritated with this. Like, you can't even let your daddy have his moment. You can't let me make the screen bigger. You can't let your daddy have his moment in the sun, okay? You couldn't let him have that. You just had to come out there and just ruin it and interrupt him and make it seem like he doesn't deserve anything he has. He was basically saying, why would WWE induct you? You're a nobody. Nobody cares about you. You're just washed up. And mommy said that you're washed up and blah, 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 blah. Blah, blah, blah. And of course, as he was out here talking, he just decided like he was just gonna try to like get in Ray's face or whatnot. But Legado del Fantasma came to the rescue and they was just like, nah, you ain't finna disrespect Ray, okay? You're not gonna disrespect the OG. And since you wanted to cheat last week, we're supposed to be fighting anyway. Let's fight right now because they did announce that Legado was supposed to fight the Judgment Day, but they decided to fight right then and there. And I was so happy to see this, show of solidarity with Ray because here lately he had been fighting by himself. Like he had been going back and forth with the Judgment Day by himself so much to the point to where he had to leave Raw and seek refuge on SmackDown. But now the Judgment Day, is starting to mess with him on SmackDown now. And it's really good that Ray has these friends that actually respects him and actually want to show him love and be his family. And the fact that it came through Santos, where of course they had their beautiful private moment with the lucha mask and everything, like which basically turned Santos' face. Um it was still a nice moment though, because you can tell it came from a place of realism and respect. He's respecting him and he's taking up for him, and I like that. I like seeing this match, and I also love seeing Zelina Vega out here because that's my girl. Sort of evening up the odds a little bit when it came to the woman side of this feud. So I liked it. But then I was also irritated because here you have Rhea Ripley, of course, coming out here being all Miss Gang Girl, Gang Banger Girl, when you need to be focused on Charlotte. But we'll get to that a little bit later. So yeah. Jeffrey saying Dom had to steal spotlight. Yep, he had to steal his spotlight. He's also saying you should be inducted into the Deadbeat Dad Hall of Fame. Yep, he did say that. And that irritated me too, because I'm sitting here acting like this man didn't fight a whole ladder match for you for custody of you from Uncle Eddie. Rest in peace. Like you're saying that like he didn't do that for you or buy you a PSP like back in the day. Like, come on, stop it. And then when Santos dropped the mic, it hit Rhea. Yes, it did, but Rhea, didn't react to it. She did a good job. So this, of course, led to the match that was announced for them. You had Judgment Day versus Santos Escobar, and the Legado del Fantasma crew. And this match was pretty good for the most part. I don't really believe I was able to get that many pictures of what went on, but either way, the match was really good. Finn, Damian, and Dominic did a really good job of trying to ground Joaquin Wilde and De La Cruz. I can never remember his name. It makes me sad. But either way, they did a pretty good job of trying to ground them. But every time they couldn't ground them or whatever, it's just like he would beat, like they would use their lucha know-how in order to gain the upper hand on the Judgment Day. And it was still really amazing. But either way, it was just a lot of cool stuff going on. There was one point where all of Legado was outside the ring. Well, not all of them, but at least Santos was outside of the ring with Joaquin. And Zelina was acting like she wanted to jump off the steps and hit a hurricanrana onto Rhea, but then Rhea caught her midair and then slammed her into the other two members of Legado, which basically distracted the referee. But then after that point, it was just like Rey Mysterio finally did, walk up and try to get in Rhea's face. But yeah, that's how that ended. Zelina crashed and burned, and it made me sad because I'm just like, why can't y'all ever just let Legado look amazing and look awesome like they are? It's just, it makes me upset. But here, either way, like I was saying, this is Rey Mysterio walking up to Rhea, finally trying to get in her face a little bit and sort of distract her, but then that distracted the referee. And the referee was trying to like figure out what was going on. But then while the match was going on, Dominic hit a drop kick onto Ray as he was talking to Rhea, and he was really, mad about that or whatever. But then Dominic was like, ha ha, I kicked you, blah blah blah. But Then Ray got involved and got distracted, but then he got pulled down, and then Dominic rolled up De La Cruz and covered him up and got the win. So Judgment Day wound up beating and defeating Legado del Fantasma. And I was very upset about this because it just seems like Legado just keeps losing and losing. And when they first started, they started off really good, like really cool. And they had a little bit of strength behind them, and then they were heels, and that was really amazing. But now I'm not mad at them for being turned face, to take up for Rey Mysterio because they all have that, connection. But at the same time, it's just kind of like, at what point are you going to let Legado actually be Legado like they once were in NXT? Like, when is that going to happen? Like, when? Like, after WrestleMania? Like, I'm really ready for them to have their moment. And I don't want to, and I'm just really ready for them to have their breakout moment. I really am. Okay, well, PC Worlds, thank you for watching and saying I'm pretty cool. Well, my name is Stephanie. I'm Stephanie Hardy. Like I introduced myself before. Jeffrey is saying Michael Cole was eating Dominic and Rhea up on commentary too. He doesn't sugarcoat nothing. He sure didn't. Like, he cannot stand the way that Dominic is treating him. And then when Wade Barrett tried to take up for Dominic and whatever, he was just like, nah, like, I know that that's not true because Ray is actually a good father. Like, you're not gonna do that to him. And Jeffrey's also saying, you right, Legado needs a win. They really do. Like, I'm really tired of them losing. And it's also been a while since we had seen Zelina on television, but I know that she had been doing outside stuff with like the Anime Awards and so many other different things. But still, like, I just want to see more of Legado on television, and I want them to be strong. But either way, the Judgment Day won. And after he won the match, of course, as Ray stood out and watched the entire match take place, I know he saw the way that Dominic was performing. And he was performing well when he wasn't cheating and wasn't, utilizing everybody else around him. But Dominic got the microphone and said, "Look, why don't you just hit me? Like, I'm just like," he just kept dogging him out over and over again. And it was so sad. Like, it was just really sad because he was just like rushing him, and then he walked up to him and pushed his head into his head, and he was like, why don't you just hit me, like, hit me, blah 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 blah. But Ray didn't want to do it. He doesn't want to lay his hands on his son, and that's admirable. But I feel like he done tried you one too many times, Ray. He done tried you one too many times. Dominic pushed him, but then just when he was getting ready to hit him and claiming that he wanted to do it by himself and told Judgment Day to kind of go away, even though they were still outside of the ring, when he was trying to rush at him, Rey Mysterio ducked. Like, he ducked out of the way and he fell outside of the ring. And Dominic was like, you can't do that. You can't do that. What do you mean he can't do that? He didn't hit you. He didn't hit you. He moved out of the way and your momentum knocked you forward because you were being a stupid little boy. And it's just so sad. Like, you just hate to see it because Michael Cole even talked about how Riho was probably the one, feeding him all those lies in his head, and he just keeps regurgitating it so far. And it's just like, Ray was never a bad father to you. He never was a bad father. You keep bringing up all this stuff where you're saying you were out on the road, you missed a soccer game, you did this, you did that, you did that. And yeah, that's valid. But at the same time, he was out providing for you and your sister and your mom. And if you knew what was going on back then, then why are you angry about it now? Considering him being on TV is the reason why you're on TV too. So it's just like, sweetheart, stop it. You're bringing up this old argument that people be using all the time when it comes to wrestlers, which is true. But at the same time, it's just like, sweetheart, Ray was not that bad of a parent to you. He really wasn't. You're out here pretending to be a thug when you weren't made as a thug. And that irritates me. You're not a thug, sweetie. You're not. You used to come up backstage on SmackDown dressed up in Louis Vuitton. You are not a thug. If anything, you're a Nepo baby and you're spoiled. So hush. But either way, that's what happened there. Yeah, Dominic did push Ray. When he finally hits Dominic, the crowd is going to erupt. Remember when Taker didn't want to hit Kane too? It's the same scenario. Exactly. Exactly. You don't be want to hit your family, but dang it, when they try you, they keep trying you, and you just get tired and you just got to let folks know, okay? Joseph saying, preach Stephanie, mommy has him thinking Ray was a bad dad, and he wasn't. Like, he literally fought for your custody in a ladder match at SummerSlam, baby. Stop. But either way, that's what's going on there with the Judgment Day. But this won't be the last we see of Rhea Ripley, okay? So moving forward, they did announce that Jimmy Allen will be singing America the Beautiful on night 2 of WrestleMania. Now, I don't know exactly who Jimmy Allen is, but it seems like he's a country singer, from my research that I did do while SmackDown was on. So congratulations to Jimmy Allen and Becky G for singing America the Beautiful on both nights. I hope you guys do a fantastic and phenomenal job, because I will be in the audience. So big ups to y'all, because I know that is a huge opportunity and something you can put on your resume if you need a resume. I don't know how the music world works in that way, but either way, it's still cool. So big ups to Jimmy Allen. You're a country singer, so that's cool. So moving forward, we went backstage, and Adam Pearce, of course, who just goes through so much stressful stuff, got a visit from the SmackDown Women's Champion, Charlotte Flair, who was dressed in a beautiful blue jumpsuit. Loved every inch of it, had matching gloves, everything. Just blew down on SmackDown. Just love it. She asked Adam Pearce for a match because it's WrestleMania season. I need to, warm up. I need a match. And so he was just like, okay, sure, I'll send you an opponent, a worthy opponent. And she said, okay, great, thank you. And she told him to hang in there, which is something that feels so weird for Charlotte to say, because we're just so used to her being a heel. But the idea that she actually told Adam Pearce to hang in there, and seeing that he was stressed out was just really sweet. And I just think that's amazing. Like, I just love face Charlotte. She's so sweet, and I just feel like it just fits more of who she is in real life, okay? You can be a queen and you can be dominant and amazing and not be a butthole about it. So, I love it. I love it. She looked absolutely amazing in this outfit, and I'm just really happy that we did get to see that. What a unique way to use the ladies. Basically having your champion begging for a match. LOL. I didn't see it as she was begging. I just thought she was just hungry for competition. That's just how I saw it. Yeah, that's just how I saw it. But moving forward, we did have a tag team match between the Viking Raiders and Ricochet and Braun. Team Universal Circus. That's what I'm gonna call them, because they're like a circus act. And I don't mean that in a negative way at all. It's just you got a really big man and a really small man who knows how to fly. And amazing things happen there. So Team Universal Circus versus the Team Viking Raiders. So this match was pretty good for the most part. It was very action packed. A lot of these men were pulling really agile moves throughout this match. Of course, out here you see Braun Strowman having been thrown out against the barricade and the LED board, and I believe this was Ivar who jumped out and splashed him into the barricade. So that was pretty sick right there. And then you also had Eric, getting ready to punch Ricochet in the ring, and he was just like, I'm gonna destroy your pretty face. And I was like, oh my God, no, don't destroy his face. Not while Samantha's watching. Um so that was interesting. Nikki in the comments, thank you for watching our senior writer. She wasn't begging for a match, she was allowing a jobber to get some TV time. Oh, not a jobber. Shotzi is not a jobber by any means, but dang, that was hard. But either way, Charlotte doesn't beg for a match. So I do agree with her with that. But either way, back to the match I was discussing. Like, Ricochet looked like his face was about to get tore up, but he fought back, and he was fighting back with a lot of his high flying moves that we know him for. But then there was this one part where Ricochet, well, I'll get to that later, but this was where the match kind of came down at, where Braun Strowman started running and doing his choo-choo train thing. Um he started running into everyone. He ran into Ivar, but then he almost ran into Eric. But then Valhalla moved him out of the way, pulled him out of the way, and then he ran into the commentary desk. And Michael and Wade moved out of the way after that happened. But then, as Ricochet was getting ready to get back into the ring, um, Valhalla cast some type of evil spell onto Ricochet, and he was just staring at her like, "Whoa, like what are you doing? Like, get away from me!" Like he looked like he was really scared. But then he climbed up on the top rope to prepare for his 450 splash, but then he wound up missing it, and after he missed it, he got met with a kick by Ivar, and then Ivar climbed up on the top rope and hit a splash onto him, and they wound up winning that match. So the Viking Raiders wound up winning and looking, pretty dominant, after this match was over. But either way, that's what happened there. Um, so yeah, that was it. And I'm wondering, what else is gonna happen or come from Ricochet having the spell cast on him. I'm wondering what's gonna happen there. Joseph is saying LOL Valhalla thinks she's Taylor Wilde. Jeffrey Braun hit that barricade at 1,000 miles per hour. Oh, that tickles me. Yeah, he hit it real hard. He really did. But moving forward with the rest of the show, we had a women's match between Miss Charlotte Flair, woo, and I just love her theme song, versus Shotzi, as we see here. She fought Shotzi, and Shotzi is not a jobber, even though she has been losing quite a lot, which irritates me too. Um and I guess that's probably why people have the sentiment that she's possibly a jobber, because she's been losing a lot. Like, it's like when she gets a win, it feels like a special occasion. And it makes me sad that that's how it is, because she was really awesome in NXT, and then she got called up and it just felt like everything just kind of fell apart after that. And it makes me so sad. But either way, it's not like they didn't have a good match. So as the match got started, they of course locked up, and Charlotte was pushing Shotzi, and then Shotzi was basically trying to give her the best of what she had to offer. And then at one point, when it looked like Charlotte was about to lock her arm in for a submission, out comes Demon Rhea. She comes out, of course, you hear her theme song, and she's watching the match, as it continues to go on, and they go to commercial, and they come back from commercial. Then after they come back from commercial, you see Rhea sitting on the commentary desk, not with the commentary team itself, but just sitting there watching the match. And as the match went on, like I said, it was really good. You had lots of submission work from Charlotte, and then lots of her regular kicks that we know her for and everything. And then Shotzi had a lot of hard hits as well. It was just a back and forth type of thing. And this was a really impressive part where I believe Shotzi tried to connect with a Rana from the top rope, but then Charlotte caught it, and then um she caught it and then reversed it. And she wound up winning the match with the figure eight rather. I'm sorry. And Charlotte won that match and Shotzi lost. So then but before the match ended, yes, Jeffrey, you're right. Michael Cole was coming for Rhea on commentary. She was irritated. Yeah, she could hear that Michael Cole, did question whether or not, she was ready for that match. Or she was, focused and everything. And she turned around and said, "Shut up, Cole." So yeah, she was irritated. But this was a really good promo. And since this is women's wrestling talk, we got to get into it because this is WrestleMania season. Rhea Ripley tried to get into the head of Charlotte and basically was saying to her, like, I'm going to win at WrestleMania because, I'm that girl or whatnot. But then Charlotte basically told Rhea, like, you just need to shut up, okay? Except she said, hush up. Which I thought sounded like a mother low key, but it was still cute the way she said hush up. And she got in the microphone and said, "The one thing that you underestimate about me, whether people like it or not, I continue to get better and better each time I wrestle, and I build, the same way you have built yourself up and gotten better and evolved in the last 3 years since we faced each other at WrestleMania. I've gotten better too." And you're not just going to run through me the way that you run through everybody else. And she dropped the microphone and walked out and basically like stared at Rhea and looked at the WrestleMania sign in the distance after it was all over. And it was interesting because you could see that there was a little bit of a inner turmoil going on with Charlotte, because it looked like she really did want to drop something on her that was a little bit meaner and a little bit more aggressive. Nikki in the comments saying, yo, Charlotte was trying so hard not to break back into a heel. Haha, love her. Yeah, that's what I felt like too. It felt like she really wanted to say something mean to her. Like, a part of me wanted her to bring up the fact that she keeps her head in Dominic's business and just roast her in that way, but she didn't. But either way, what she did say to her was cool, because Charlotte does continue to get better and continue to be one of the standards in the women's division. Like, that's something that you just cannot, deny. And it's just that Rhea does want to prove herself, because like I said, like when they first fought each other, or even when Rhea first started in the Mae Young Classic, when she had the long blonde hair and wasn't dressing up all gothic and everything, everybody was comparing Rhea to Charlotte. If you were a tall blonde woman back then, they were comparing you to Charlotte Flair. And the idea that, she felt like she was ready to face her in 2020, only to lose the NXT title to her. And now she won the Royal Rumble this time, which Charlotte has done before. And now she gets to face her at WrestleMania again. Rhea does have an axe to grind, but Charlotte has more of a motivation to prove that she is that girl now, because she is that girl. And folks just be making it seem like, oh, well, Charlotte's just she's in the ring and she does adapt to whoever she's facing. So this match is going to be killer at WrestleMania, and I really feel like anyone who is saying that they're not looking forward to this match is just being mean for no reason. And just trying to sound like a contrarian or whatever. This match is going to be good regardless. So, yeah. Joseph in the comments saying this is practically WrestleMania 36 all over. She was pissed that Rhea nailed the bullet points. Nikki is saying that was a great shot of them at the end. Oh my god, I am so damn ready for this match. I had to put up my Rhea shirt until after WrestleMania. Yeah, it's really good. I'm looking forward to it too. Mommy is the third opponent to win the Rumble and call Charlotte Flair out. Charlotte is 2 for 2 in those situations. Yeah, but either way, it's going to be a good match. So this is a big up for women's wrestling. I don't care what anybody says. The only thing that I really feel afraid about in this match is, since Charlotte is so ready to face Rhea, and Rhea, did face her, they did have this face-to-face interaction. I'm scared that Rhea might go to a dirty tactic and use Dominic to try to win the match at WrestleMania. And if that's the case, I'll be pissed. I will be very pissed if that happens, because I would really just love for her to just separate herself from Dom for a minute and just understand that this is a big opportunity for you separate of the man that you're dating. Like, let's give a message to these girls out here that you're dating someone, but that does not mean that they have to be your whole world, okay? So I'm gonna need for Rhea to stay out of everybody else's business and get in her own business and lock in, because this is Mania, baby. And this isn't the Mania where you fought Charlotte where there was no audience. This is the big time. This is Inglewood, Hollywood, okay? Lock in, get ready. Yes, we are ready for this. So, and of course, she has that creepy little wave because she's pretending like she's not bothered when she really is. Moving forward, they did announce in a commercial playing one of my favorite old school jams of all time, Hollywood Swingin' by Kool and the Gang. If you know, you know. They played this commercial for WrestleMania and announced that it is 22 days away. We are 22 days away from WrestleMania. I can't believe it. It felt like it was only a couple months ago where I first bought my tickets, and now we're 22 days away. I am so nervous, but so excited at the same time because it's such a big weekend. I'm so pumped to be there. And even if you're not going to be there, just be pumped to watch it. Like, watch it with your family, watch it with your friends, or just watch it with yourself. It's going to be lit, okay? I am in love with this WrestleMania. I'm so happy that I get to be there. So it's going to be great. So moving forward, we had basically not really like the main event, but this really is the main event. You had the Usos walking backstage getting ready to address the people because apparently Roman wasn't there, but I'll get into that a little bit later. But yeah, Jeffrey, that theme song, I loved it. Cool in the Gang. Exactly. Old school jammers, no. Mind you, I'm 29 years old, but the first time I heard that song was in Roll Bounce with Bow Wow and the crew. So I just feel like that's just a really good like 70s song or 80s song whenever it came out. I love that song. It is so good. And the fact that it's Hollywood just makes it even better. I love it. So the Usos were walking backstage and they were getting ready to address the people. And Jay had a really passionate promo here. He was basically giving his reasonings as to why he betrayed Sami Zayn and broke everybody's hearts across America. And this is the new episode of the Bold and the Bloodline. So Jay got out here on the microphone and said, "Look, if your family needed their bills paid, are you gonna turn your back on them or are you gonna pay that bill?" And I was like, God dang, just attack me, Lord. Um, um, if your family is starving, what you gonna do? You gonna feed them. And that's why I did it, because Sammy is not my blood, but Jimmy is my blood. He's my twin, he's my brother. Like, I'm gonna do whatever it takes to be with him. He was like, I really didn't want to do it, but I had to because that's my brother and I need to take care of my family. Oos. And him and Jimmy, we're basically jaw jacking back and forth, but it was mostly a main event Jay show. There we go. And it was a very passionate promo here, and it just feels like from the way he was acting, it was a sense of he was being giving a sense of bravado along that was masking desperation. Like, it was giving, I didn't want to do it because deep down inside I love Sammy, but I had to do it because I can't betray and leave my brother alone in the bloodline by himself because he's my brother and we have a blood oath. Um that's literally what it felt like. It felt like he's desperate to get out of the situation, but he has to be with and protect his brother and be there for him because he has that blood loyalty. And it was a really good performance. Like, I don't care what anybody says. They deserve Emmys for this. Jay deserves an Emmy for this. I don't care. But as they were cutting their promos, they got interrupted by Mr. Cody Rhodes, who came out in a new suit, baby. He had me gagged with this suit. I was like, wait. He had on this black and gold ensemble and then had on the gray on top of it. I was like, wait, why do you look like you're running for president? But then, you about to go out on a date with your wife later. Like, Cody, you're just out here looking handsome as you want to look. Okay, come through. And so he got on the microphone and said that I feel the energy of Pittsburgh, and it feels like Pittsburgh doesn't want to hear us talk. They want to see us fight. And I was like, okay. And then he took that suit coat off and was struggling low key with his tie, but he took everything off. He had the chain on his vest and everything. I was like, come through. And he took everything off and got to fighting with everybody in the ring. And so as they were fighting, losing my pictures. As they were fighting, Sami Zayn popped up and snuck behind Jay and started beating up on him. And then Cody hopped in and started beating up on Jimmy. And they were all basically fighting outside of the ring. It was just a crazy time, okay? But it was really good. They were fighting in the crowd and everything, beating each other up. And when it looked like, the Usos were about to get the upper hand, Sami came from behind and just started beating up on them some more. Like, it was just insane stuff going on. But then as they fought each other, they ran back to the Usos ran back to the Titantron. But then Cody and Sami basically stood up, in the ring, sort of, holding hands in victory, looking like, yeah, we got them that time. And they were basically having a stare off, which basically ended SmackDown. That was the end of it. And Roman Reigns, Mr. Acknowledge Your Daddy, did not show up. And that disappointed me because at the beginning of the show, Jey was saying that he wanted to talk to the tribal chief. There was no tribal chief in Pittsburgh. What happened to that? They did advertise that and they did drop that nugget, but he wasn't there. So it was just kind of weird that they sort of set that up. But I guess that's where the Cody and Sami part of it comes in as. But either way, it's really interesting how this is playing out because Cody is supposed to be fighting Roman for the undisputed championships at WrestleMania, but he keeps partnering and defending Sami Zayn because, of course, Kevin Owens wants nothing to do with Sami Zayn at this point. So is Cody supposed to tag with Sami at some point? Can Sami find another ally? Because I'm gonna need for Cody to refocus on Roman. But it's hard to focus on somebody who isn't there. So I guess he just couldn't be bothered. I don't know. But I just thought that was really interesting. But we do know that in wrestling, the card is subject to change. So you just never know what happens. But either way, this was a pretty solid episode of SmackDown. I enjoyed it. It was fun. Let's go to the comments a little bit because there was a bunch going on while I was talking. The Glam Marty, thank you for watching. We were lied to. The anticipation to see Roman and Jey interact after Monday night, but I'm glad they are waiting to have them see each other again. That's true. We were lied to, but the anticipation is growing and growing a little bit more, and they have been really good at that with this storyline. I like it. Jeffrey is saying, simply put, Jey is there for Jimmy only. Exactly. That's basically the thing he was saying. He also said the gold and black reminded me of the Hurt Business. Sami came in so smooth like a thief in the night. LOL, right? Exactly. Jay said to Paul Heyman, when you see Roman Reigns, tell him I'm here. Oh, yeah, he did say that. KO is still being hurt by Sami. He needs time. Yep, he does need time. But he does also have to remember that even though he was hurt by Sami, Sami ultimately did defend him at the Royal Rumble when he was getting his butt beat. So he needs to keep that in mind too. So yeah, that was the end of SmackDown. That's the end of SmackDown. On that side of the street as we continue on the road to WrestleMania. They did also announce that 316 Day is coming up, which shocks me because time is just moving on so fast. But 316 Day is coming up next week, so be prepared to celebrate that. But yeah, let's move into the Rampage side of the street. It's so funny. I said move to the Rampage side of the street, and then there's Cody, but he's not on Rampage anymore. But either way, we had the first match, which was Sammy Guevara versus Action Andretti. Now, of course, Action Andretti is old dude who decided to who debuted on AEW Dynamite and beat Chris Jericho, and the Jericho Appreciation Society has basically been gunning for him ever since. So Sammy decided to challenge him to a match. And something hilarious was the fact that the match started with Sammy basically laying up on the top ropes looking like he was unbothered. He looked like he was really unbothered by the whole thing. But either way, the match was really good from these two. It was really good. There was lots of high flying going on. Like Actually, Andretti hit this one move where he bounced his butt off of the top rope and onto Sammy and slammed him onto the floor. And I was just like, Action, why are you like a Power Ranger? Like, he's amazing. And then there was one point where Action tried to hit a move onto him, but then at the same time, he wound up getting hit by Sammy Guevara's knees. And I wish I had more pictures of it because I did have more pictures, but technically the technology is acting up. So either way, this match was really good. I enjoyed it for the most part, but Sammy Guevara wound up getting the win because Daniel Garcia, who is also of the JAS, decided to interfere and push Action Andretti, I believe, off the rope. And Sammy Guevara wound up hitting his GTH in order to win the match. So they were bragging about it. But then there was this other impressive part of the match where Action actually jumped from the top rope onto Sammy Guevara onto the table. So they fought outside of the ring a lot, but anytime they were in the ring, they utilized it to the best of their ability with their high flying magic. So it was a really good match. But Sammy Guevara, of course, used underhanded tactics in order to win. So in the comments, the Glamardi is asking me, do you think people are starting to warm up to Sammy Guevara? I can't really, maybe so. I would say so because I believe on commentary, even though it's easy to say on commentary that they were saying this, they were really feeling like maybe Sammy Guevara could work his way up to be, world champion at some point. So maybe they are. I can't really speak for everyone else. But I can speak for myself. Like, Sammy Guevara is talented, but I also feel like sometimes his bravado and his ego does sort of get in the way um of people wanting to, like him or see him, as a good wrestler or a talented wrestler. Um, he's done and said problematic things, and I'm not going to pretend or repeat those things. But either way, it's just that has a tendency to get in the way a little bit. And maybe now he's getting to the point where he can relax and just, let the work speak for itself. But it's kind of hard to say because I can't speak for other people, but I can only speak for myself. So yeah, that's a good question though. You would think you would think Sammy was way too confident, but he didn't have Ty Mello there to bail him out. Action ain't no joke. This guy is actually a great wrestler. He is, and it's something that they mentioned on commentary was the fact that Action Andretti only started wrestling 3 years ago. And I was just like, what? Action Andretti only started wrestling 3 years ago? That is crazy to me for someone to be that talented and only having started wrestling 3 years ago. Like, I'm gonna need for him to really like step into his calling fully now and just embrace who he fully is, because if that's what's going on, and that's what's going on, and I'm really happy that he's so good. Like, he's amazing. I like Action Andretti a lot. He's cool. So that's what happened with that match. But then moving forward with the rest of the card, we heard from Jungle Boy Jack Perry, who of course had his match at AEW Revolution, which was, I guess, a buried alive match, I guess you could say, in a traditional sense, between him and Christian Cage, who of course he's been beefing with for so long. And he finally buried that part of his, past. And I'm glad because it felt like they were fighting for like years. Even though it was for months, it felt like they were fighting for years. But basically, Jack Perry was basically saying that, now that he's, put Christian Cage behind him and how he'll see him in the next life, that he's basically watching over any man that has a championship in AEW, because whoever he decides to come for, they just need to be ready to fight him. And I was just like, wow, okay. And it's funny because I was listening to I believe it was Jobber Tears, because I listen to a lot of wrestling podcasts. So shout out to them. They were talking about how they feel like, Jack Perry is of course one of the pillars of AEW, which is true. Um and that, he deserves more of an opportunity to go for like a singles title because he has been a tag team champion. So even though he has been a tag team champion, he really hasn't had that really big solo moment. So maybe this will be an opportunity for him to sort of just lay back and, bask in the glory of his victory against Christian Cage and really like seek out who he could face in the future for a singles title. Maybe he'll challenge Powerhouse Hobbs for the TNT title. Maybe he'll challenge for the big one. You never know. But either way, I thought this was really interesting and really good promo work from Jungle Boy Jack Perry. Also, I'm just inclined to root for him all the time because I was a big fan of his father, Luke Perry. So rest in peace to him. But I'm sure he's proud of him from up above. So yeah. Um Jeffrey saying it was a buried alive coffin match. Yeah, thank you for that. Jungle Boy versus ver- Jungle Boy versus Christian Cage finally coming to a conclusion. Yes, thank you for watching Amazing Tribe. Um Jack versus MJF. Ooh, that would be interesting, but MJ he needs to chill. Um so next we had the Acclaimed, the former AEW Tag Team Champions, who in my opinion should still be the AEW Tag Team Champions, in action against a local tag team by the name of Starboy Charlie and Jack Cartwheel. Now Jack Cartwheel actually did a cartwheel when they said his name, and I thought that was really cute. But they were local talent because they were in Sacramento, California. Shout out to Sacramento. Um, and they basically beat them in short order. That's no shade to Starboy Charlie and Jack Cartwheel because someone did have a sign in the audience saying to sign him. But either way, they got beat in very quick fashion with the mic drop, and they got dissed with a rap, of course, during the entrance. But then something really cool that happened was the fact that in the audience, the Acclaimed actually picked up a pink styrofoam microphone that they had. And I was just like, now you know you over when you got a microphone that's styrofoam and they're selling it. Like, the Acclaimed, I feel, have some of the best merchandise I've ever seen. Like, and then it's pink and black. So you can never go wrong with pink and black in wrestling. You just can't. You got these two, you got the Heart Foundation, you got Natalia, and then of course you also have the Fab Four on WoW Women of Wrestling Superheroes with the fabulous Lana Star and Penelope Pink. Watch that interview with the WoW World Champion if you haven't already on Women's Wrestling Talk with Katrina from NCAT We Trust. They had that interview because they didn't want to talk to me, or basically because I was at work, but whatever, moving on. Pink and black is just a beautiful color. And when it comes to the Acclaim, because they're so funny and entertaining, they just have a really big following and people just really love them. So it's just, amazing to see them, have this trajectory where you have these two black men in a tag team and they're amazing and excellent in the ring, but then they also have magnetic personalities and they like to rap a lot and stuff. So it's just really cool. So yeah, the Acclaim won this match, but then after they won, they couldn't even celebrate because two members of the Jericho Appreciation Society, I believe it was Cool Hand Luke. I don't want to call him Cool Hand Luke because I believe that's his name. But either way, they came out and was being like, we love rap music. Why can't we be a part of the team? Why can't we be a part of the team or whatnot? But then they walked away. And then after that, the Acclaimed and Billy Gunn, aka Daddy Ass, just celebrated with them and the match was over. Cool Hand Angelo and Daddy Magic Matt. Thank you so much. I'd be blanking on these people's names. Like, it's so bad. I'm so sorry. Like, I do not mean it to be mean. It's just that there is a lot of people to keep up with at a time. And it's just sometimes I just don't remember their names. It's nothing personal. I promise it isn't. My brain just, it just breaks sometimes. So, yeah. During this segment, we find out we will be hearing from the Outcast. Yes, I'll get to that. But moving forward with the rest of the show, we had another amazing match between Konosuke Takeshita versus Preston Vance of Ingobernables. And this match was really good. I enjoyed it. It was very action packed and heavy, like with heavy hits and everything. Like in this part, you can see Konosuke hitting Preston Vance with a suplex here. Like, this match was very physical between the two. But something that I thought was really interesting was the fact that it felt like Preston was sort of adapting the attitude of a certain member of Los Ingobernables who's an OG member. And it was just kind of like, sir, you're not him. You're not Andrade. Stop it. Stop it. But either way, Konosuke was giving him hell in the ring, and I enjoyed every inch of it. And even when the manager was out there for Preston Vance, he just like, and he kept, getting involved. Konosuke wasn't having it. And he just kept hitting him, so hard with so many hard hits and everything and high flying. And thankfully, Konosuke wound up winning with this pinning combination right here. And he was very happy about it. And Loki looked like Preston wanted to attack him from behind afterward, but he just got down off the apron and walked out of the ring and didn't do nothing. So shout outs to Konosuke for winning this match. And yeah, in the comments, Glamarty is saying Konosuke is very fun to watch. Definitely a future world champion. Yes, I agree. He is really fun to watch. He's amazing. I really like his talent, and I can't wait to see how much further he goes. But Preston Vance, he's just somebody as a heel that I just don't appreciate, simply because he decided to be mean to negative one of the Dark Order, and I'm just like, you ain't finna be mean to Brody Lee's child and get away with it. Like, I don't like that. So ever since then, I've just been hating him. So I was just like, you know what? It's fun to watch you lose because you bullied a child. And then on top of that, he decided to be disrespectful to Konosuke by grabbing a bottle of water and throwing it on Konosuke. And if it's anything that we've learned this week, is that wrestlers just need to stay away from drinks that belong to other people. Do with that information what you will, but y'all were just chill. Just chill with it. Chill with it. Chill with it. I don't know where he got that bottle of water from, but let's just leave drinks out of it. Just leave it out. Just leave it out. Just leave it completely out, okay? But yeah, Amazing Tribe in the comments saying Konosuke is a good wrestler and animated. Yes, he is. He's very animated. I can't wait to see what else he has to go on. Like, this match was really cool to watch while I was eating my dinner. It was really cool. So big ups to Konosuke Takeshita for winning this match. So, moving into another heartfelt moment, we had Mark Briscoe come out and make an important announcement. Now, of course, he is one half of the Ring of Honor Tag Team Championships, along with his brother Jay Briscoe, who is sadly no longer with us due to an accident that was unfortunate. But thankfully, his children have been recovered and have left the hospital since that tragic incident. So big ups and big prayers to this man and their family, because it just can't be easy. But Mark Briscoe continuously comes on television every week in front of us and just give us the best promos and all the love that he has in his heart for this sport. And it's just so beautiful. So he said that he had been talking to Tony Khan to figure out what's next for the Ring of Honor tag team titles, because of course, his tag team partner is gone. So he decided that there needs to be a way to move the tag titles forward. So he announced that at Ring of Honor's big event, Supercard of Honor, which will be taking place the weekend of WrestleMania, there will be a Ring of Honor Reach for the Sky ladder match to determine who will be the next Ring of Honor tag team champions. And I thought that was such a beautiful way to pay tribute to him, to himself, to his brother, everything that they've ever done, for the tag division in Ring of Honor, because of course they are 13-time tag team champions in Ring of Honor, and they basically helped build the foundation for tag team wrestling there. And it's a beautiful way to move it forward because it gives all the tag teams in AEW and also Ring of Honor a chance to fight for these titles in a fair and cool way that's worthy of Supercard of Honor in that way. And I love how it's the Reach for the Sky tournament, because it's just, you get to climb up the ladder and reach up and grab the titles. And so he announced that the first participants in the ladder match will be the Lucha Brothers. And I thought that was really cool too. So this was a nice heartfelt moment, and and a part of me was wondering how they were going to, move forward with the tag titles, because as it stands, Mark was still walking around with his tag title. He was still one half, and they were still announcing him as one half of the tag team champions, and that's really nice. But you do have to move forward, and now this is a beautiful way for them to move forward in a really big way, on a really big platform, on the biggest wrestling weekend of the year. So this was really nice. It was very heartfelt, and my prayers and thoughts and love and good vibes is always to this man, because he does not have to be on television. He really doesn't. He doesn't owe us anything. He could be at home relaxing and just, taking stock of his life right now, because it can't be easy. But he be coming on TV every week giving us jewels and gems. So big ups to Jay. Well, big ups to Jay Briscoe, to the Briscoe brothers as a whole, but definitely big ups to Mark Briscoe. So yes, in the comments, Amazing Tribe, reach for the sky, rest in peace. Yes, Joseph, the Jay Briscoe Memorial Ladder match. What a beautiful way to honor the Briscoe brothers. Yes. From now on, every ladder match will be called the Reach for the Sky ladder match. Hey, that's fine. I like that. He's also saying congratulations to cousin and new TNT champion Powerhouse Hobbs. Yeah, congratulations to him. Like, that was a big moment too. We did see him backstage, and he was talking about how him and QT Marshall are gonna have a moment on the QT TV next Wednesday. And of course, next Wednesday is going to be a huge show, because that's going to be AEW Dynamite's first time in Canada. So that's going to be cool. So moving forward with the main event. The main event is a women's match. Yes. And since this is women's wrestling talk, we going to get into it. We going to get into it. We going to get in. We going to get in. We going to get into it. Okay. So they charted the history between Nyla Rose and Riho. Of course, they both fought each other for the AEW Women's World title on the first, I believe they said the first episode of Rampage. In 2020, they fought, and I believe Riho wound up winning because she was the first champion. And then, of course, Nyla Rose worked up to the point where she challenged Riho for the title, and she won it off of Riho. So basically, they both have history with each other. So they decided to fight on this night, and this match was really good. It was really impressive. Nyla Rose is just showing her behind here when she jumped off the top rope and hit Riho in the head with a flying knee. Like, that was really cool. But then also outside of the ring, you had Marina Shafir, who was being the X factor in the match. So she was sort of interfering on behalf of Nyla Rose, but Nyla Rose really didn't need her out there. She was doing a phenomenal job by herself. So it's just kind of like, bro, like, why are you here? But she did look pretty, so I'm not gonna, take that away from her. But either way, she did go out there and actually tried to beat up on Riho a couple of times. But then Riho impressed me because she did a Northern Light suplex onto Nyla. And I'm just like, Riho is so small. Like, she's so small in comparison to Nyla Rose. So the idea that someone as small as her could actually hit a Northern Light suplex on her was just insane to me. I was just like, girl, you are deceptively strong. I like that. That was amazing. But Riho wound up winning the match. But after she won the match, she couldn't really celebrate, because not only did she get attacked by Riho and Marina Shafir, Marina Shafir and Nyla Rose walked up the ramp. And as they were walking up the ramp, here come the Outcast in the form of Ruby Soho, Saraya, and Toni Storm. And they walked right past Nyla Rose, which confused me, because I'm just like, first of all, if y'all want to attack AEW OGs, why didn't you attack Nyla? It's 3 of y'all and 1 of Nyla. Why didn't y'all attack her, since y'all got beef with AEW OGs like that? That was really, really weird to me. I was just like, why did y'all just pass her? But then they were all like, yeah, go beat up Riho or whatever. So they decided to jump on Riho, beat her up, and then spray paint her back and her stomach. So Yeah, it's just I hated it. It's not like I hated them beating up on Riho because them being the outcast is cool and everything, and I like the name. Because it's not the outsiders or anything else like that, so I can have a definite name to call them because I was trying to make stuff up for the longest. I was just irritated because y'all got all this beef with these OGs for AEW and y'all passed by the biggest one. But okay, beat up on Riho, who already just faced somebody in a match. But okay, they spray painted her and basically ended, and that's basically how Rampage ended. It ended with these women basically holding each other's hands up high, like they want a match or something, and they just beat each other up. So yeah, Amazing Tribe was saying Riho popped those hips with the Northern Light suplex was fire. Yes, it was. And then Marina Shafir actually hit a hip toss onto Riho outside of the ring, and that was impressive as well. But yeah, like it was just crazy. It was just really crazy to me. Joseph is saying the name should tell you two things. Number one, Tony is trying to honor NWO, true. And number two, these three women hated how Charlotte Flair ran things on SmackDown, and now they want to run AEW. Here's the thing though, I don't want to put those words in their mouth and make it seem like they hated Charlotte Flair and how she ran things, because Charlotte wasn't running things. She was being booked to be out in front because she's that girl. So we're not going to, pit women against each other on women's wrestling talk like that. We're not going to do that. But it's just they're here in AEW and they're the outcasts, but it's just, they're making the point and they're being a gang. But my thing is, I feel like if you're gonna attack all the OGs, be all the way with it and don't just attack the ones that are just weak. So either way, that's how it ended. And of course, next week we'll hear more from the outcasts. Um in Canada. So I thought this was really cool, and just the way that Ruby looked in this picture with the other two, like she looks amazing. Like she looks like way more badass. So I'm really excited. Joseph saying, I remember Soraya saying Dr. Britt reminded her of a certain somebody she used to work with. Okay, yeah, let's not do that. But yeah, moving forward, that's basically the end of AEW Rampage for tonight. And that's the end, and we've also reached the end of the show. But before I do all my things, I need to show just I'll be back in a little bit. So just got to pay the bills a little. So
hey peeps, TK Trinidad here, boss lady of Women's Wrestling Talk. And I want to say thank you so much for watching, because you've got millions of options. Plus, you don't have to worry about sharing your password to check us out. But while you're here, hopefully you know we have so many more shows to watch, like Turnbuckle Glam, Raw post-show, WoW post-show, AEW Dynamite post-show, Women's Wrestling Army post-show, NXT post-show, Impact Wrestling post-show, AEW Rampage and SmackDown Live post-show, On the Scroll, WWT Live, plus all of our interviews with the hottest women's wrestlers in the game. Make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe. Check out our website at www.talkpod.com and follow us on all social media platforms at www.talkpod, and make sure to spread the word. That means send this to the group chat. Yes, even the person with the green bubble. Thanks again so much for watching Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet. Ciao for now.
all right. Now, I had gotten so caught up in the commercial, in not the commercial, but in the show, that I had forgotten to play that part. But either way, y'all know what to do. If you enjoyed this show, please check out any other wrestling shows that you any more of our wrestling shows that we've got going on Women's Wrestling Talk. We do it weekly and we do it proudly every week for all of those shows. So yeah, okay. Thank you for watching my wrestling promo, Amazing Tribe. Thank you for watching that. That was fun. I enjoyed doing it. And then on top of that, Penelope Pink did see it from WoW. So maybe she'll address it on WoW Women of Wrestling superheroes, maybe she won't. But either way, the gauntlet has been thrown, okay? But either way, thank you guys so much for joining us tonight for the SmackDown and Rampage Aftershow. Of course, we are here every Friday night. It's usually me and Drian Santana, our editor-in-chief. But like I said, she had another assignment to do with her other job. So she wasn't able to be here. But hopefully, we'll have the gang back together next week. But of course, if you want to follow me or support me or anything I've got going on, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Queen Steph Hardy. It's just like it is on the bottom of the screen at Queen Steph Hardy. You can listen to my show, The Hardy Wrestling Podcast, everywhere you get your podcasts on audio and also on YouTube. Subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. And be on the lookout for any and all new episodes that could be coming out either this week or next week or whatever, because I am celebrating Women's History Month and I will be talking about women in Wrestlemania. And in the new episode, I will be discussing Wendy Richter versus Leilani Kai, which was the first women's match ever at a WrestleMania, at the very first WrestleMania. So please check that out. It will probably come out Sunday. I'll live stream and then it'll come out Sunday. So please check that out. But most importantly, definitely check out Women's Wrestling Talk. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at WWTalkPod. Check out our website at www.talkpod.com to look out for any articles or buy our merchandise and just continue to support the brand. Of course, subscribe to us on YouTube and get the bell ringing so you'll be notified every time we have a video going on. Go on our Twitch, subscribe to our Twitch channel, like us on Facebook, do the whole thing. Like, if you really love us, support us and follow us for our things. And also support all of the hosts as well, because we're all doing amazing things outside of Women's Wrestling Talk too. So just continue to do that and just support women's wrestling as a whole. If you love women's wrestling, support it and big it up, because we out here doing the dang thing. Don't just support us on Women's History Month. Support us always, okay? So thank you guys so much in the comments, for your compliments. Thank you so much for that. So of course, just continue to support us and just continue to just support the brand. Now, this, of course, has been Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet. Have a great weekend. We are 21 days away now from WrestleMania. Bye, y'all.
Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet. Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet.